Hi, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am in the house today with the amiable Adana. Thank you so much. And I'm your host, Buchilo. And today we're going to be analyzing the issues that are facing, most people, most Nigerians, as well as Nigerian descents, what's going on in Nigeria. There's been a lot of past news of how things have been going spiral downwards, and how this is really affecting everyone. And not just Nigerians living in Nigeria, but even the folks in diaspora. But before we start, let's just do our countdown just to have people join us. Alrighty, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, guys, today is just gonna be another one of those days. The time to ask for freedom is now. Young people are rising up, using their voices to speak up against the injustice, the insecurity going on in Nigeria. So please kindly share this broadcast so that we can have more people join. Thank you, everyone, and please also put your comments down in the chats room so that we can begin immediately. All right. So pretty much what we're going to talk about today, Adana, is Nigeria has suffered another national grid crisis. There is a collapse of the electrical sector. The schools have been on strike for so long now, and it's just so sad to see that we're witnessing another crisis where there is no light. I remember growing up in Nigeria, and I used to shout up NEPA. And NEPA is back then they used to be the folks that gave out lights. And whenever they brought the lights, out of excitement, every young child or every young person in the environment would be shouting up NEPA, up NEPA. And it's sad that 20 years and currently 20 years ago and still to today, the same situation is still going on. And this is just because of the failure of leadership. And as we always try to say, it's like whenever situations like this occur, the people that are responsible for this, they should be held accountable. But they are hardly ever held accountable. Life just goes on. And ultimately the people that have to suffer these consequences are, ordinary day Nigerians that live in Nigeria, where they have to pay for their high prices. They never get these prices. They never get the what they're paying for. And Adana, do you have anything you want to say about this? Because this is one of the problems, one of the many problems in of Nigeria, where there's hardly ever light. There's hardly ever the basic things that you will need. And right now the diesel prices have gone up to 750 naira to 1 liter. And it's just sad. But this is one of the problems that is facing Nigerians. Why is it that in the 21st century, a nation in Africa which prides itself as the giant of Africa still cannot solve the light crisis? Isn't that shameful?
Yeah, and honestly, I just want to echo what you kind of said. It's sad that in this day and age where it's very light shouldn't be something that they have to deal with, right? Because we
Mhm,
do have resources and the ability, and it's being done in other nations. And
mhm,
so I feel like it is really sad to see how basic things like electricity, can't be taken care of by leadership in Nigeria, especially
mhm,
when it is possible. Like you said, it is failed leadership, and there needs to be an aggressive push to make sure something like this isn't a problem in our modern time, you know.
Mhm.
So it is difficult to see. It is saddening, and I'm sure, of course, it affects the lives of many people and the progress of the nation. So, you know, I really want to see improvement in this area, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to see.
Yeah. You know, I totally agree with you. Someone in the comment section is saying, did I just hear a giant of Africa?" Well, that is what Nigeria prides itself as. You know, it may not be the giant of Africa. You know, it may not live up to that expectation. But again, it carries itself. You know, whenever people talk about Nigeria, they also the giant of Africa, the giant of Africa. You know, it's not living up to that expectation. But I know that Nigeria is not the giant of Africa. I know that it's been kicked out of that category with situations like this where Boko Haram, they're running crazy, where the light is suffering. Because let's think about it. If the light is suffering, then obviously the economy is suffering. Because you need power, you need light to fuel the economy, you need light to power the economy. So how then do you power an economy with no light? So in that instance, it already defeats the argument of Nigeria being the giant of Africa, because the giant of any country should always be living up to his expectations to the people. You know, and someone mentioned something one time that even before the power grid suffered or collapsed, you know, there was never really consistent light. So how are people going to even notice the difference? Someone mentioned that on Twitter, you know, and that was a very good argument, because when the power grid did not collapse, there was no, uh, there was no light, or even if there was light, it was intermittent. You know, it wasn't stable. So how then do you make the argument of, oh, the power grid has collapsed, so now there is really no difference. Nigerians are suffering. Um, all they're asking for are just the basic things to survive, and the government, time and time again, keeps failing them. So I just hope this can be resolved as soon as possible. But until then, we'll just keep talking about it. We're gonna move on now to the next story. This is actually a story that happened in the UK, all right, where a black schoolgirl was stripped by the police while on a period after teachers thought they had smelled cannabis on her. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the race aspect of it, because it is very clear. Reading the story, when I read the story, it was very clear that this would not have happened if it was a white child. All right, this lady, this particular girl was stripped all the way down to, she was barely put naked, and it is sad that she had to go through all of this. Because the reason why I also bring this up is because of the fact that, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, who is a British citizen, was kidnapped from Kenya and sent down to Nigeria for supposed crimes that he had committed in Nigeria, right? And the process at which they took him down to Nigeria was a crime. And he's a British citizen. But as I'm talking to you right now, the UK government has not put any pressure on the Nigerian government to ask how did they get this man all the way from Kenya down to Nigeria. They've not asked him any question. They've not, asked the Nigerian government any question. And I say all of this to say that it is very clear that there is a double standard in the British system, right? It is very clear that if the British can actually do this, if the UK government can allow this kind of injustice to happen to a black schoolgirl who is just 15, it only makes sense why they would also allow the instance of Mazin Kanu to be kidnapped from another country, and still they've not done anything tangible enough to get him released. Do you have anything you want to say, Adana?
Yeah, I think when I saw this story, obviously being a woman and being a black woman, it was definitely hard to read. I think if the goal is to protect the adolescent, or if we're thinking that she's causing harm to herself, or cannabis use is harmful, right, or whatever they want to think, whatever their mindset was, I think by violating the adolescent, right, they caused more harm, obviously. So it defeats the whole purpose of whatever you're trying to do. So it makes me think about like what is essentially the goal. Um, you're harming the person, right? You're causing harm. You're not actually trying to. It's I don't it's frustrating. It's just a frustrating situation. Um, and I feel for the woman, and I obviously feel for. I feel like things like this should not be happening,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's different ways to address different problems. You're working on suspicion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Violating her rights, violating her body,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that needs to be taken very seriously.
Yes.
But it appears that's not the case, right? Not everybody's afforded the certain liberties that they should be afforded, or the right to, um, you know, be able to.
Yeah.
It's just have
Protections.
their,
Yeah. Protection of the
yeah,
human body, of a girl body. As you said, there should be better ways of solving this problem. Obviously,
exactly.
obviously the British government, they still have their mindset stuck on, race. When other places, other countries are trying to move on and work with everyone, they're still having their mindset stuck on race. And it is clear time and time again, they've proven time and time again that they are very, they need to work on this aspect so that they can be more inclusive.
Of
And I'm
course.
saying this because it also goes back home, with how they've treated or how they've managed the issue of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. A British citizen, a black British citizen. I have to put that because he's black. Because I'm very sure that if he was a white British citizen that was kidnapped from Kenya to Nigeria, he won't still be in detention since June, right? This
Yeah.
man has been in detention since June and nothing has been done about it because he's black. And I'm going to put it out there right now. The reason why nothing has been done about it is because he's black. And just the same way this young lady was, assaulted, molested, treated indecently, touched in places that she shouldn't be touched by strangers, defiled, some maybe also suffering from a mild trauma or even extreme trauma because of this instance. When someone goes to school, they want to go to school to have a place where they can learn. It's not a police station. It's not a holding cell where you just touch anyone anyhow. So I hope someone in her family takes this to the right places where she can finally get justice, and maybe some financial compensation for pain and suffering. um, but that's my take on that. It's so shameful that the UK. When people look at them, they think they've made progress, but there's hardly no progress. So let's look at this again. Another story. We don't, as I said, we're not going to be here for so long. Adana is a very busy professional as well. But we also want to just point on the fact that things are happening. A lot of crazy things are happening. Now, this is another story, Adana. Four police officers were killed, and the Nigerian media always uses the word bandits, right, just to hide the fact that these people are actually terrorists, right? They've been designated as terrorists. The Nigerian government has designated these folks as terrorists, but for some reason they always use the word bandits just to like simplify the evil that they are doing, right? These folks have killed police officers, they've killed military officers, they've killed custom agents, they've killed any kind of people, and now they invaded a tomato processing company in KB State, and they killed four police officers. Although some of them were killed, but the point I'm trying to make in essence is this is a continuing repetition of instances. This is not a one-off thing, right? This current president mentioned in his when he was elected that he was going to handle the case of of terrorism, of Boko Haram terrorism, of bandit terrorism. But as I'm speaking with you right now, these folks are more fortified than ever. They have more weapons that has never been seen before, and they know exactly what they're doing. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point that you made as far as language, how language plays a big part, like using bandits versus calling it really what it is, kind of shows you that there is definitely an agenda here. It also makes me upset that, the government, right, is not really stepping up in leadership to address the violence and address the issues that are going on related to this. when leadership fails and doesn't address it or takes little political action uh, to interfere and to show that they're against violence and that they do want to progress the nation, I think it leaves space for people to be frustrated, for citizens to be frustrated, and for violence to continue, right? And for people to continue to lose trust in the government. And that's where civil society kind of has to step up. And I think it causes more polarization because the government's not stepping up to address the violence, right?
Yes.
So that can be very frustrating when there's clearly something going on that's wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, totally. And it's like there's also this. There's also been records shown, evidence shown that there's been collusion between some of these bandits and people in government, right? They have picture evidence showing them receiving money from, you know, top government officials. Even some were receiving money from governors of the state, right? And there's also been evidence of showing that they try to repent some of them, make them turn a new leaf. But in all of this, time and time again, we've seen that none of these strategies are working. All right. These folks are going in, killing, most of them are even killing their own people. So it only beats the question exactly of what are they trying to achieve? What are they
Yeah.
trying? What's their main objective? And if their main objective is to, you know, maybe take over a whole government or whole region, to what end? And this is what they've been doing. They've been electing people. Some of them have even started taking taxes. They've had the people pay taxes to them, right? And that's the reason why they have the capacity to fund all of this craziness that's going on. But as we always say, rest in peace to those that have lost their lives. It's unfortunate because the Nigerian government doesn't even help the police officers, in terms of provision of all the basic necessities that they need. And now that they are gone, most of their widows are left to themselves. They don't even provide them the necessary, uh, you know, maybe pension or whatever it is, the payments that they would give to people who lose their lives. They don't do those things. People pocket this money and leave the police officers' wives, their widows, to their own plight. So as much as we see what's going on, we're very saddened because the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian government allows for this to happen. They put police officers in situations where they know they can be outnumbered. You know, look at how 500 people, 500 terrorists. Imagine having to combat 500 terrorists. How many policemen can they put in a place to protect the people of a factory? Over 500 with over 500 terrorists coming to kill them, right? And obviously, this is also going to affect the food prices as well as the food production, because how many people want to show up to work the next day knowing well that terrorists came to the office the following day and killed 4 policemen in the same building? Think about it. It's just the way it is now. It's crazy that these folks have been emboldened to this level, but that's just the way it is. And something has to be done about it, because if they are done with KB, they will keep moving on to the next state, to the next state. And before you know it, they will have full control over the whole of Nigeria. So I'm going to just bring this another story up. This is a senator in Nigeria who just mentioned that Nigeria is just the African version of Ukraine at the moment. And he was making this analysis or this analogy based off the fact that there is no lights, there is no water, terrorists are taking over the whole place. There is really nothing to call, once if you look at everything, there's nothing to call as a bright future, in Nigeria at the moment. And that's why a lot of people have been shouting and saying referendum, that everyone should go their separate ways. And I honestly, believe that that's the only solution to solving this problem, even if not all the problems, but at least the current problem, which is the one of insecurity. Because if people can control their resources, they can also control, everything that they would need to protect themselves and create a plan that would help them, in that area. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I feel like what you said does make sense. I think for me personally, I'm always struggling to completely understand what may be the best solution. I do think that there is credit to people saying that there should be separation, right? I
Mhm.
also wonder sometimes if we're able to. It's all about identifying, I guess, the main problem, right? And I think
Yes.
that you're right. With insecurity, it might be better for us to break apart, for everybody to kind of go their own separate ways, so we can have that ability to create better nations, right, for more
Mhm.
unity, because it appears that we can't get on the same page, right? um, a nation needs to have similar values. A nation has to build towards a particular goal, and it looks like the goals are not lining up. And I hate to see people suffering in that way. I feel like it is kind of a fair assessment, considering, like, yeah, insecurity,
Mhm.
people feeling like there's a lack of hope, and when citizens don't feel like there's hope, where they can't envision a better tomorrow,
Mhm.
that's an issue, right? That's an issue, because leadership needs to provide that vision, and everybody needs to be able to garner behind that to move to a better future. But it's kind of looking a little bit bleak now. So something definitely needs to be done, and something will happen. I believe something will happen, because that's the course that it's going to go. And as we're seeing it right now in the nation with other places like Ukraine, that's something's going to happen.
Yeah, totally. Something is definitely going to happen because, you know, Nigeria has never had it this horrible. This is extremely horrible. And the worst part of the whole thing is the president, the supposed president, is not even in the country, and he's also meant to be the minister of petroleum. And I'm like, how does one fail so horribly as a president and they still give him another position to be the minister of petroleum? Like you can't have these two roles. It's like you have
Yeah.
to either pick one and fail at one. You can't be failing at both because these are very important sectors or two important leadership positions. The president and the minister of petroleum is not even in the country, right? He's in London, his wife is in Dubai, and he also questions his, the way he even runs his family, because he can't even run his family well. His families are everywhere. He's in London, his wife is in Dubai, his kids are pretty much maybe anywhere they are right now, and a man who cannot run his family is running this government down spirally, and he doesn't even care about anything. Doesn't talk when he's supposed to talk. He doesn't act when he's supposed to act. And it's just sad that this is the reality on ground right now, where Nigeria is now being compared to Ukraine. As much as I hardly ever side with Nigerian politicians because I feel like they're all birds of the same feathers, I wanted to bring this story up just because it makes sense why they would say that. But a lot of people would even argue that as bad as it is in Ukraine right now, it still has some basic services that Nigeria doesn't have. Some people will say that Ukraine still has light. No matter how bad it is, they still have light. They still have some kind of like food source or a way they can get those basic things that they need to survive. As much as we know that we're praying for Ukraine and hoping that the crisis stops there, we also know that Nigeria, as it is right now, some people would argue that it's even worse than Ukraine. But that's just my own take on that. We're going to be moving on to the next story. Please, if you're just joining us, welcome. This is the Leadership Standard. Um, we are here live and direct. And we have the amiable Adana with us today. She's a co host and also sharing her thoughts on what she thinks can be better. So, this is another story, Adana. Uh, this was the Niger State DPO. That's I believe that's the DPO means the divisional police officer. So he's the one that handles the division of that base. And he actually mentioned that illiteracy, population, poverty, moral decadence have fueled the rise of banditry in the north. You see how they keep using the word banditry? They never actually use the word terrorism because these people are being killed every single day. But yet they call the word, they call it bandits. And when you look at the word bandits, it sounds like a group of people that are just like, running amok and, maybe stealing some things. But these folks are established in each places. They have, they have their their homes there. These terrorists, they have their homes there. They know where all these top people live, and that's why most of them don't even talk about them because they are scared that they can come after them, right? But this police officer was bold enough to speak on his Facebook post, and maybe someone like notified the terrorist and told them that, hey, this guy is talking about you, blah blah blah, and they actually killed him in a gun battle, right? So it is sad that this happened because he looks like a good gentleman, um, but the point I'm trying to make is that no one is safe. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. That no one is actually safe in Nigeria. If a police officer can just be killed without any form of, you know, just like that, by terrorists, who then is safe in Nigeria? So the situation is something of concern. These terrorists are coming. They have the resources. They move in bikes, and they have like machine guns, APGs, RPGs, all the kind of Gs you can think about, and they're out there just slaughtering people on a daily basis for whatever reason that suits them whenever they wake up in the morning. So, do you have anything you want to say, Adana?
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. It's definitely a sad situation. I think one of the things that I noticed when we talk about illiteracy, population, poverty, the moral decadence, I mean, like it all comes down to leadership, failed leadership, right? And it's definitely failed leadership. I think people are vulnerable, obviously, to joining terrorist groups and things of that nature because there's some kind of lack, right? There's an issue. People don't feel like there's hope, right? If the government is investing in education, if the government is investing in clearing poverty and improving the welfare of people, right, and giving people a future to look towards, it would definitely it would decrease that vulnerability for a lot of people. And I guess the appeal of joining a terrorist group, giving them that purpose, right? If you're not having a daily purpose or feeling like you're moving towards something positive, you're going to find something else to give you purpose. And obviously, in idle, what is it? The idle playground is or the idle mind is the
Yeah,
devil's playground. And I think
correct. Yes.
that's where we're seeing an increase in terrorism. It is fueling terrorism, and it's a dangerous place to be in Nigeria. So government really needs to step up. But of course, they have their own agenda as well. There needs to be a lot of change there. So it's disappointing, but yeah, it's a big problem.
It is a big problem. It is a big problem because the thing is, the North, they've had enough time, especially not Nigeria, northern Nigeria, they've had enough time to solve this problem. They've been in power for so long, right from Nigeria. When Nigeria got its independence, they've been in power. They could have had the best universities in the North. They could have ensured that there was population control. They could have ensured that their young ones were going to school. But no, the leadership there was more concerned about buying homes in Dubai, buying homes in London, buying homes in France and the UK. They were more concerned about ensuring that the young people were poor so that they could manipulate them for their own personal political needs. And now, as I say, the chicken has come home to roost, and this is what it is. When seeds are planted, they will definitely germinate, right? And now it is like the government is now backtracking, and instead of them to solve the problem, they are now rehabilitating this terrorist. And my question is, how do you rehabilitate terrorists? How do you rehabilitate people? And this is on. They just rehabilitated 559 Boko Haram terrorists. 559. How do you rehabilitate them? The time that you have to rehabilitate them is when they are young, by making sure there are schools for them, by making sure that there are programs for them that will make them beneficial in society. It's very hard for you to bend, an iron that is already hard. But it's easy to bend an iron when it's in the fire. You can bend it to whatever way you want to bend it to. How do you how do you I don't know what the point is, or how they want to explain it to me, that you know they are rehabilitating grown ass men who are set in their ways, who have gone out there and killed people. Even the sheer trauma that they will have to be in the same society with the same people that they've killed. So imagine going to the market, and the next thing, one is seeing the person who killed their husband in the market with you, and he tells you, "Hey, I've turned a new leaf." and it wasn't like a personal thing. It was like, so it's just a mess. But again, we're here. We're going to talk about it. Let's see how that program works. I doubt it's going to work, but let's just see. We'll just be here to observe it. We're going to go to the next story. Um, so this is the next story. This is the EFCC exhibit storage was gutted by fire. The reason why I bring this story up is because I have seen it time and time again. Whenever there is about to be like a probe of an organization, or maybe whenever there is a court case, all of a sudden, the places that have the evidence to prove a case just catches fire. You know, that's the reason why I brought this story up, because whenever I see stories like this of how, you know what it is for an exhibit storage facility, this is where they store all the exhibits to convict the criminals or the alleged criminals of of various financial crimes. How are they? How is it that the facility is being gutted by fire? You know, what are the parameters? That's the problem with Nigeria. I have seen in time and time again. Like there is never any parameter to curb something before they happen. It always happens. Then everybody's like, oh, now we have to figure out what we're gonna do. Like, how does a place that it should have all the necessary fire equipment, like everything, whether the sprinklers, the extinguishers, there should be like a fire service close by to ensure that nothing happens to these documents. These are very important documents, and now they're all gone by fire. Help me make sense to this. It doesn't make any sense, you know. But this is just the reality on ground of what it means to be a Nigerian. Every single day you wake up and there is fire burning, either the CBN facility, whether it's burning the National Assembly, whether it's burning the EFCC exhibit storage, whether it's burning the schools, just mysterious fire, whether it's burning the markets where the Igbo people are working. You know, there was a fire that happened recently in Ladipo Market, you know, a place called Ladipo in Lagos. You know, the burning stuff, just fire coming out of nowhere, you know, and it's just crazy. I feel all these fires are planned. That's my own take. I feel they are planned by people who are trying to cover up some, maybe some misdeeds of themselves or for people who have paid them. I don't know. But what do you think, Adana?
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of active effort to to do things the right way, right? To allow at least justice of some sort to be preserved. I feel like there is just such a lack of respect and how things should be done. And this is obviously just another example of corruption, right? People not making the concerted effort to go about things the right way and allow justice to kind of be served and allow investigations to occur. It's like just, burn the evidence, and
Exactly.
it's kind of blatant. And that's what's so it's not funny, but it's sad because it's like it's blatant, and that's what I find to be kind of the crazy thing. Yeah.
You know, as people would say, man, Nigeria is not a real place. You know, because the kind of crimes that go on there, and how it is hidden, it only worries. It only, you know, befuddles the mind of reasonable people how Nigerians have survived this, you know, from generation to generation to generation. This is another story of a person who is meant to be a spokesperson for the president, saying at a time when the Nigerian electricity collapsed, saying that the electricity has improved under Buhari. Like the electricity has collapsed. Like what is improving? It doesn't make any sense. This is a period when you should be apologizing to the people. This is not the period where you should be defending anything. Why is it that people don't understand there is time for everything? There's a time for you to speak and there's a time for you to shut up. This is not a time for you to open your mouth and just make things worse. People are queuing for fuel every day. They have to pay high prices of fuel. This same government imported bad fuel, wrong, fake fuel that people put in their cars. They went to the gas stations and they were putting the wrong fuel in their cars that destroyed so many cars. And most of them have not even gotten compensation to today. There was a lady who I was seeing, she said she lost 3.7 million naira on her car because of fake fuel. But this man here is opening his mouth to just say that the electricity has improved. How? This is another form of gaslighting. This is how they try to hide their failures with acting like it's better. Like, oh, things are better now. Like, what are you complaining about? Why are you complaining about this? Do you know things are better now? How are things better? Like, you can't fool everyone at the same time. You can fool one person at a time, but you can't fool everyone at the same time. If he was having this conversation with his brother, that's fine. But you cannot be tweeting this to the whole Nigerians, making a mockery of their intelligence. And this is one of the reasons why I say that it is time for people to start requesting that Nigeria breaks up. Because people like this in government, they would only get into more political positions in the future, right? These people are young people. They are also very ambitious. And imagine someone making this kind of statement as a presidential aide. Imagine if this guy is given the role of a senator tomorrow, or a role of a president, or even a governor. Imagine what he's going to be saying or what he's going to be doing. His statement lacks empathy. His statement lacks the fact that people are suffering. He's just saying this statement to cover, of course I understand he's doing his job to cover the ass of his employer, but that doesn't make any sense that he makes this kind of statement at a time when people are suffering. This is the time when he could have just shut up his mouth and not say anything and just let this phase pass. But no, he has to open his mouth, say something stupid that will make things worse. I don't know. What do you think, Adana?
Yeah, I mean, when you don't identify an issue, then we can't even move towards solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
This time and age, there's social media, there's so much information, like governments, people can't hide what's really going on, right? So it's disillusionment here, and it doesn't make any sense. It just further perpetuates the, not able to trust the government, right? You're not able to trust the people that are supposed to be in power to protect you. So they're obviously not a government for the people, not concerned about the advancement of the people, the protection of the people, the betterment of the people. So this is just kind of slap in the face, right? Like you said, lack of compassion. It's ignorant. It's quite dumb. It would have been better for them to just keep their mouth closed, because obviously we know that this is not the case. It's not improving. It's getting worse. Um,
Exactly.
so that doesn't even make any sense.
Exactly. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. All right, moving on. I believe this should be our last. Well, actually, this was actually our last post for today. What we wanted to talk about. Oh, one second. I think I have another story. Yeah. Yes. This will be our last story. Now, this is a story of a police officer who has been indicted for fraud, as well as money laundering, as well as drug trafficking. A lot, right? They found 1.4 billion naira in his account, and now this is a story of how he took over the properties of a slain suspect that he killed, and also stole the millions of naira of this person, right? And I want this is a story because this man right here was regarded as a super cop in Nigeria at some point. He was hailed by the Nigerian Senate and the House of Assembly, giving multiple awards for his so-called dedicated service. But now we are seeing how horrible he is, how terrible his service was. He has been indicted for so many things, and a lot of people have actually accused him of killing several people in the southeast, and involved in so many things. But as the investigations are coming out, we are hearing a lot more stories as they come out, right? And this is one of those stories where, if you remember the NSAS protest, he used to be the head of NSARS, right? He used to be the top of NSAS. So whenever you hear about NSAS, why people were shouting NSAS, this was the guy. This was the main man honcho. That was the reason why people were shouting NSAS in the streets of Lagos last year. All right. And if you look at it, they found a lot of money in his accounts. Even someone is in the comment section is saying that even if he works for the rest of his life, he can't raise over 1 billion naira. But this man had over 1 billion in naira in his account. Like, how do you make sense of this, right? And if you see the kind of cars he had, if you see the kind of mansions he had, you see they were even naming streets after him in Nigeria. This just shows you that Nigerians can be very gullible because we always believe, all these people are, working. But to be honest, it's just sad that this is happening, despite the fact that he has killed so many people. I'm happy that right now, there's a form of justice is coming up, and he's also being looked at by the FBI because of an international money laundering scheme that he was a part of. So yeah, this is one of the stories I wanted to bring up, just so that people, that he has like maybe defrauded, can know that finally, you know, he's now going to be prosecuted for his crimes, and shows that crime doesn't pay. What do you say about that, Adena?
Yeah, I'm glad that he's going to be held accountable. But I just think he's just another example of the precedent that's being set as far as like having it almost appears like the only way to succeed or to gain any kind of means in Nigeria is to engage in corruption, to kill, to steal, right? Those are the route to attaining any kind of resource. And so that I'm praying for change. I'm praying that people can step up, and it's going to require sacrifice on a lot of people's ends to step up and do what is right, to make the change, because it can't continue to go as it's going. People need hope, people need a new direction, people need to feel like there's other means of succeeding, and of attaining, that isn't about corruption and just stealing power and taking. So I'll be happy to see this person brought to justice and for something to be done.
Exactly, exactly. And Divine Smart mentioned in the comment section that dissolution is the only solution for Nigeria. That the only solution right now is for Nigeria to break apart. And I'm going to keep reiterating that aspect, that the Nigerians should consider that, right? The Nigerian people should consider, going to the polling booth and seeking for a referendum. As they are planning to go for another election, they should put that before the election. Let people see if they really want to be part of Nigeria, right? Nigeria, a lot of young people are now finding every means possible to leave. Their parents are telling them to leave. They are leaving everywhere. And the ones that have even left to Ukraine, I'm very sure that when they are bringing them back to Nigeria, they're like, oh no, I'm coming back here again to deal with this bullshit. But the point is, like, that is just what it is. A lot of young people are trying to leave, and I feel like the only way out of all of this mess is for a dissolution. Nigeria must have a dissolution. Nigeria must be dissolved. There needs to be a time where we need to start having this kind of tough conversations about our unity. We can all be separate and still in love. We don't have to be living in the same roof to show that we're in love. Everyone can go buy their own houses, make their own money, and we can still be in love. And just very simple. That's how I like to, live and let live. Why must we all keep suffering, crimes and punishment from every generation? And now the next generation is coming after us, and they keep seeing the same suffering. They keep seeing no light. They keep seeing no water. They keep seeing, the schools are on strike. They keep seeing adulterated fuel. They keep seeing corruption. They keep seeing killings. How is this going to, imagine growing up in this kind of environment all the time, and you have to deal with this situation all the time. It can be very draining. But the point I'm trying to make in essence is, it's time for Nigerians to tell themselves the truth. Nigeria is not working, and even if an organization is not working, they would go back and look at why it's not working and see how they can resolve the problem. It's time for Nigerians to go back, look at why Nigeria is not working, and see what the problem is and how they can resolve it. But for a lot of people, they believe that the only way to solve this problem is for a breakup, a dissolution of Nigeria. And I think that's a great plan. I think that's a great option. And I support people who support that plan as well. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of our show today. Thank you, Adana, for coming out. I really appreciate you. I know it's very early, and you gave me your time at very short notice. Thank you so much. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
For sure, anytime. Alrighty. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll be here again. Hopefully, I will have Adana with us again. But for now, we want to say thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, be a part of us next time. Thank you for everyone who commented, Ujunwa, Divine, for being a part of this show today with your comment section. I really appreciate that. So until further notice, have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye now.